LeBron James cut right through the nonsense. He did. He cut right through the nonsense when it comes to the criticism that Caitlin Clark is facing. He admitted that she's the reason people care about the WNBA. I'm sorry. She is. And now, well, now there's record crowds. Now the league has grown by some I don't know what exactly determines this. I haven't been able to figure it out. But they're saying the league has grown by 184%. Now, I tried to find out, how do you quantify that? Well, I guess it's a combination of attendance, TV ratings, sponsorships. It's like baseball analytics. But the league was growing a little bit, like 15 to 20%. Now, all of a sudden, it's up 184% because of what? You think it's because of Angel Reese or because of that white girl from wherever the hell who's trying to pose about half naked all the time? No, it's because Caitlin Clark, and she can ball. Last night they went to 0-5, by the way, the Fever. She played terrific. Had a turnover down the stretch. Look, here's LeBron James talking about Caitlin Clark, and I think this is fantastic.
The one thing that I love that she's bringing to her sport, more people want to watch. More people want to tune in. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it fucked up. Caitlin Clark is the reason why a lot of great things is going to happen for the WNBA. But for her individually, I don't think she should get involved on nothing that's being said. Just go have fun, enjoy, but I'm rooting for Caitlin because I've been in that seat before. I've walked that road before. I hope she kills. I hope Aaliyah Boston does amazing. I hope they do great. I'm just kind of in this mode right now because I'm getting the same, thing from watching my son, who's a 19-year-old, kind of getting a lot of animosity and hatred towards him when he's just a kid trying to live out his dream. There's a very small number of men and women that actually get to live out their dream of playing a professional sport. And we have grown-ass men and women out here doing whatever they can to try to make sure that does not happen. That is the weirdest thing in the world, but it is what it is. And I'm glad that Caitlin has a great head on her shoulders.
Well, nobody's trying to not let LeBron James live out their dream or not let Caitlin Clark live out their dream. People are evaluating, and that's what people do. I mean, I'm sorry, but when you're in the world of sports, people are going to evaluate. So I'm with LeBron James there, but nobody in the media other than Jamel Hill and these other idiots are trying not to let somebody live out a dream. I mean, just because somebody doesn't think LeBron James' son is a first-round draft choice or may not make the NBA doesn't mean they're trying to not let him live out their dream. Every NBA or WNBA prospect gets evaluated, but I know exactly what LeBron James is saying relative to Caitlin Clark, and what he said has power and meaning. And it will shut up the David Dennis Jr.'s and the Jamel Hills. It will. You watch. Because they look like fools, and they even more so looked like fools last night when Sir Charles. Now, you got to think about this. Last night, TNT was on television, and TNT all day yesterday was the talk of the sports world because it appears that the iconic show with Charles and Kenny and Shaq and Ernie inside the NBA is going to go away after another year because negotiations have proceeded in the NBA to the point where it doesn't look like TNT is going to be involved in broadcasting games. So, perfect timing yesterday for Charles Barkley to talk about Caitlin Clark, to talk about the, in his words, incredibly petty women of the WNBA. Let's hear from Sir Charles. Oh, I'm sorry. We couldn't play the audio because there was music in the background. Charles says women should be thanking Caitlin Clark for bringing attention to the WNBA instead of trying to tear her down. He's 100% correct. I mean, let's be honest. There's a lady named Sophie Cunningham that somehow, some way plays in the WNBA. She's currently bitching about the charter flights. They're not big enough. They're not roomy enough. What? I mean, look, I live by two things. Well, three things. Sack up, That's a family motto. No good deed goes unpunished, and be careful what you wish for. Let's go to the no good deed goes unpunished. WNBA says, you know what? We're going to get you charter flights. You don't make any money, but the league is starting to take off after 27 years, so we're going to get you a charter flight, and you know what? You're bitching about it. You know what? Here comes this girl into the WNBA that's making the league grow like it's never grown before, crowds like they've never had before, TV ratings like they've never had before. And you know what? Y'all are complaining about it. Petty doesn't even begin to describe it, but it's pretty close. I mean, let's be honest. Petty, childish, jealous, insecure. I mean, what are you doing, women of the WNBA? Shut up, play in front of big crowds. She will lift the entire league. She already has. And you get the benefits. Salaries are going to go up, I guarantee it. Damn. But you bitch, whine, and moan every day to the point where two of the biggest stars, well, they've got to speak out against you. Charles Barkley and LeBron James are two of the biggest stars. And let me say something else about the perfect timing last night of Barkley. You know, when you play football on Monday Night Football, the entire football world is watching. There's no other games. General managers, coaches, players, trainers, assistants, everybody's watching Monday Night Football in the world of football. Well, last night in the basketball world, there was only one game, one NBA game, and it was on TNT. And everybody, after an all day of learning or reading about whether or not the inside the NBA show is going to go away, well, guess what? Everybody in the basketball world was watching Inside the NBA. It was the only thing on for men's basketball fans. Well, Charles Barkley speaking out yesterday was perfect. Perfect. And I hope it shuts these idiots up. I hope the Sophie Cunninghams of the world say, you know what, why don't I just shut up? I hope the idiots that have only race to fall back on realize that, let's go their language, even their own Barkley and LeBron aren't supporting them, and they shut the living hell up. Of course, Sonny Hostin has to put in Charles Barkley's quote, LeBron, you are 100% right on these girls hating on Caitlin Clark. Y'all petty girls. Y'all should be thanking that girl for getting y'all private-ass charters and all the money and visibility she is bringing into the league. Don't be petty like dudes. Of course, The View, which I'll never understand how anybody pays attention to that, but we do and others do. The View's Sonny Hostin, who I refer to as the kind of hot one, hey, what are you going to do? She had something to say about it as well because she's an idiot.
WNBA started in 1996. First games played in 1997. It's 2024, and we're just really now talking about it. And so if Caitlin Clark is the vehicle that will bring this sport that I have loved so much and so long to little 5-year-old girls playing in Harlem, I say yes, bravo. I have no problem with that. With that being said, I do think that there is a thing called pretty privilege. There is a thing called white privilege. There is a thing called tall privilege. And we have to acknowledge that. And so part of it is about race, because if you think about the Brittany Griners of the world, you know, why did she have to go to play in Russia?
Because they wouldn't pay her.
Because they wouldn't pay her.
Because they wouldn't pay, not because she was black, but because they didn't believe in the WNBA.
This is part of my point. So now, you know, Caitlin Clark is bringing this money, these sponsorships, we hope, into the league, and other players will benefit from it. But I do think that she is more relatable to more people because she's white, because she's attractive. And
well, no shit. I mean, the country's 70% white. I mean, you think that dumbass is on TV other than that she's kind of hot? Sonny Hostin? I mean, why does she think she's on TV? I mean, because her opinions are so good? She's an idiot. I mean, every day she says something stupid, and she can tell she doesn't really know what she's talking about here. Well, so what? I mean, you know, well, a big deal. Tiger Woods was ugly. He wouldn't have been as popular. You know, Serena and Venus Williams, they tried to make themselves look as pretty as they could. Why? Because that's the way we work. I mean, you think these news anchors that are on TV are on TV because they're ugly? I'm not going to lie to you. There's a couple ugly ones here in Indy I don't watch. I'm sorry, I don't. You can get mad at me all you'd like. I mean, big deal. The country's 70% white, 90% heterosexual. What do you think? I mean, again, I go back to yesterday, and this is where, you know, these women, they try, and you got to give them credit. They're trying so hard. They are. And we have to acknowledge that she's white and pretty. Well, so what? I mean, she's pretty, Sunny Hot. I mean, Whoopi Goldberg's on there as the resident troll, the fat, ugly friend that every hot woman has. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, you know, and then you got the fat, funny friend, the ugly, funny friend in that, what's her name, the one comedian, Joey Bear. I mean, that's what you got. You got a microcosm of society. The hot girl, this Sunny, hangs out with the ugly troll because, well, it makes everybody feel good, and then the funny friend. What are you talking about? The setup of that show is classic. But honest to God, I mean, you can get mad about it all you want. Well, we have to acknowledge. We don't have to acknowledge nothing. Here's what we have to acknowledge. Caitlin Clark's a really good basketball player that, like all of the stars before us, from Walter Payton to Muhammad Ali to everybody else, we want to root for and we want to root against. Let me give you the list again that my friend J.D. Campbell, Joe Namath, Muhammad Ali, Mark Spitz, Roger Staubach, O.J. Simpson, Bruce Not Caitlyn Jenner, Sugar Ray Leonard, Julius Erving, Walter Payton, Mary Lou Retton, Magic, Bird, Isaiah, Jordan, Montana, Ripken, Bo Jackson, Jeter, LeBron, Manning, Brady. Do we have to acknowledge that they're popular because they're either white or black? No, only Caitlin Clark and only women and a couple racist men. Nobody ever gave a rat's ass whether Mary Lou Retton was stooping somebody or not, although when I was in college, we did try. I took a swing. I did. We wrote her a letter, tried to get her to an IU game. Nobody cared what Joe Namath was doing other than who was he stooping, but nobody cared that he was white or black. Sugar Ray Leonard, nobody cared that he was white or black. We just enjoyed watching him box. But now, because we got people that are paid to be in the race game, we have to listen to these idiots. And Sonny Hostin and others, you're just stone idiots. But keep on swinging. Somebody will listen eventually. Hey, look, the Chiefs defend their own. Harrison Butker, and I'm here for it. Everybody should defend Harrison Butker. In fact, any intelligent person criticizing Harrison Butker has to have their intelligence questioned, or they're doing it for a reason. Michelle Beadle I really liked, but she called him an effing something. Well, that's great. Michelle Beadle trying to get relevant again. Good for her. She hadn't been relevant since 2011 when Cowherd carried her along and she was the hot sidekick. So here's the deal. If you're mad at Harrison Butker, that's a you problem. That's not anybody's problem but you. Harrison Butker, a Catholic guy giving a speech at a Catholic university in front of Catholic graduates espousing a Catholic faith. And he's criticized by morons. It's a you problem. And basically that's what both Patrick Mahomes at a press conference yesterday and Andy Reid at a press conference yesterday, they both said that very thing. Here's what Andy Reid had to say about it. Here's what Patrick Mahomes had to say about it.
I know Harrison. I've known him for 7 years, and I judge him by the character that he shows every single day, and that's a good person. That's someone who cares about the people around him, cares about his family, and wants to make a good impact in society. When you're in the locker room, there's a lot of people from a lot of different areas of life, and they have a lot of different views on everything, and we're not always going to agree, but and there's certain things that he said that I don't necessarily agree with, but I understand the person that he is, and he's trying to do whatever he can to lead people in the right direction, and that might not be the same values as I have, but at the same time, I'm going to judge him by the character that he shows every single day. That's a great person, and we'll continue to move along and try to help build each other up to make ourselves better every single day. But at the end of the day, we're going to come together as a team, and I think that'll help out as well as eliminating those distractions outside the building as well.
Yeah. Now here's Andy Reid. Let's go to Andy Reid. We can go right to Andy Reid.
Talk to him about this. Didn't think we need to. We're a microcosm of life here. Everybody's from different areas, different religions, different races. And so we all get along. We all respect each other's opinions, and not necessarily do we go by those, but we respect everybody to have a voice. It's a great thing about America, man, and we're just, like I said, a microcosm of that. And I wish, my wish is that everybody could kind of follow that. So.
It's really kind of interesting. Harrison Butker has become a lightning rod for the bullies. Like yesterday, there was an exchange. Courtney Cronin, who is a DEI hire of ESPN. I mean, she's out of Indiana. I've seen her. She doesn't add anything. But if you're going to go that route with Caitlin Clark, I mean, you go the same route with others. And she's mediocre at her job, but she's a woman, so she covers the Bears. Laura Rutledge is mediocre at her job. She's got great hair extensions, and she's on SportsCenter. She's the typical SportsCenter gal, blonde, somewhat pretty, depending on your taste. I mean, not everybody's pretty to everybody else. And, of course, because she's with ESPN, she's going to be entitled. I've never heard either of these two women discuss Sage Steele, support Sage Steele, an African-American woman going through a hard time for being a conservative at ESPN. I've never heard either of these two women talk about the crime spree currently going on in the NFL. I mean, open up a magazine, magazine, it dates me, right? Newspaper dates me. Go on your laptop, check out ESPN.com or any other website, OutKick.com, and you're going to see, man, damn near every day somebody actually with the Chiefs getting arrested, whether it's Rashid Rice, two big fat linemen. It's a crime spree, going on. I've never heard these two women decry or mention the fact that NFL players abuse women at rates that are unseen in normal society. But, of course, they got to make a smart-ass comment. That's what Laura Rutledge did about, I'm so glad I'm a woman and I can have a career. Really? Good for you. Well, the only reason you got the career is because, you're hot to some. I mean, let's just be honest. Anybody can do the job. I mean, look, the easiest job in America is to do SportsCenter. Yeah, you got about 10 people helping you write a script, and you read it off a teleprompter. I mean, what the hell? Try doing this job where there is no script. You got talking points, and then you got to talk straight 2 hours. It ain't the easiest thing in the world, but we make it look easy because, I'm a stud. But anyway, Harrison Butker is easy for the bullies. He's a not middle-aged, but he's a white dude that's a kicker. That's a Christian. Is there anything easier than that? Yes. If he were a middle-aged white dude or an older white dude, then it would be really easy. But I've never heard any of these frauds, these women, comment about the epidemic of spousal abuse in the NFL. I've never heard one of them make a snide comment about Rashid Rice or any of these other idiots in the NFL going 1,000 miles an hour and crashing into people or the gunplay. Not one. But man, oh man, Harrison Butker is an easy target, isn't he? For all the little bullies, all the little smartasses, all the little boys and girls on TV because, I want to get down with the quote, cool crowd. Just shows what they truly are, and that is frauds. I like the fact that Mahomes and Andy Reid stood up. It kind of reminds me in reverse of our boy Greg Doyle here in Indianapolis that was so creepy with Caitlin Clark at a press conference introducing Caitlin Clark to Indianapolis. Doyle could have been saved by Caitlin Clark. Could have been. She could have come out and said, it was no big deal. She didn't, and Doyle had to sit in it. Well, this time, Harrison Butker saved him. Got saved by Mahomes and Reed because they're honest people. They're not frauds. They're not jackassery like what we've seen out of the two women making fun of it on SportsCenter. Difference maybe between athletes, real athletes, and TV readers, teleprompter readers, or the little girl that goes in the locker room to get a quote. Some people have never been in a locker room other than to get a quote or ask a question. Those people aren't near the character of a guy like Mahomes or Andy Reid. It's kind of sickening, really, watching bullies play out on Harrison Butker. It really is, and frankly, it pisses me off. 2024-2025 NBA season is going to be the final run. Apparently, maybe. Don't jump to that conclusion just yet. For TNT's Inside the NBA, featuring Ernie and Kenny and Charles and Shaq, according to the Sports Business Journal. I was texting with Charles Barkley yesterday. He told me it's a very stressful situation. And Charles isn't just about himself. He's about everybody behind the scenes. And if you watch that show, man, is there a coordination. There's a huge coordination between the producer, director, and the set. Like yesterday, Draymond Green joined the set, and he was talking about Kyle Anderson being the X factor in last night's game. The director and producer immediately took and went to a shot of Kyle Anderson's ridiculously ugly form on a jump shot. It might be the worst in the history of professional basketball, and, of course, the guys had a laugh. That's coordination between the truck and the booth, and it's great. It's the show like no other. But Charles said to me, it's very frustrating. It's very stressful. Not frustrating, stressful. Here's the report. A new agreement was first reported by Sports Business Journal with contracts currently being finalized. And an announcement is expected at the end of the week. In total, all three networks will combine, listen to this, to pay $7 billion for the broadcast rights, which will include the NBA, WNBA, NBA Finals, international rights, and more. Although final numbers haven't been released, NBC Universal is believed to have bid around $2.5 billion per year for the NBA rights, which, if so, would be nearly double Warner Brothers Discovery/TNT's current annual $1.2 billion. The new deal is expected to give NBC a weekly basketball night in America, Sunday night game night modeled after the network's Football Night in America program. How about that? That's pretty good. So that, in theory, means that the Inside the NBA show is going to be gone. Well, the only reason it's going to be gone is because Ernie Johnson, who is the greatest host there is, can't leave TNT or won't leave TNT. I wouldn't be surprised to see a show with Kenny and Charles somewhere. I don't know where Shaq fits into that, but the show with Charles and Kenny would work. Now, maybe Shaq would be there and Tirico hosting it. He's with NBC, would be terrific. I think it'd be great. I'm not saying we're not going to see a recreation of that show just yet. I want to see where this heads. Charles is smart. Charles said, I don't want to work at ESPN because it makes you work too hard. And here's what that means. That means when I would go to ESPN, I would get there on Wednesday. As soon as I got there, I would do my local show. 3 o'clock comes, I would do a Sports Center hit. 4 o'clock, another one. 5 o'clock, maybe have dinner, then do my pre-half and post-game hits. The next day, it was Mike and Mike. Then it might be First Take or whatever show they wanted you on Sports Center. Then I would do my local show and do a bunch of shows after that. Charles doesn't have to do that. Charles just simply does pregame, halftime, postgame. That's it. And hangs with his buddies. It's a pretty good gig. He knows it. He respects it. And he doesn't abuse it. But he's smart. Who the hell wants to go through the car wash at our age? You just do your shows, make the world a better place, and keep it moving, people. But I'm not buying just yet. Remember I said this on whatever day it is, the 23rd of May, 2024. They got another year. There's a lot of time to negotiate deals. I'm not buying we've seen the last of Charles Barkley, Shaq, Kenny at halftime, pregame, and postgame of an NBA show. I'm just not buying it. See, here's what's starting to piss me off about Scottie Scheffler, and none of you are going to understand this. In fact, this piece should be put out everywhere in the country, but nobody's going to get this because so many people are kissing the ass of Scottie Scheffler. If Scottie Scheffler had just stopped the car, it would have saved him a massive hassle. But now he's got police officers potentially fired. The police officers that were involved in arresting world number one Scottie Scheffler ahead of the second round of the PGA Championship at Valhalla in Louisville will be investigated for whether they followed proper protocol, according to the city's mayor, Craig Greenberg. This sucks. All this guy had to do, and I know what you're saying, and you're wrong. You're saying the first cop told him to move ahead, the second cop maybe told him to stop. Well, then stop. You don't know what the second cop knew. First cop's over here. He tells you to go. There's another cop here. What if he's trying to get you to stop because of dead bodies in the road? What if there's people in the road? He has a different view, so you stop the freaking car. Now, by every account, whether it is Scheffler's, whether well, I guess maybe not Scheffler's, whether it is Jeff Darlington's or others, basically Scheffler didn't stop the car. So now, because the world's number one golfer, who gives a rat's, decides that he's got to get to his tee time 5 hours early, a police officer or police officers have to be investigated. He has a massive hassle. He's got to go to jail. Yeah, he's come out the other side, but he's got to wake up every morning now with, oh, man, I got felony charges looming. There's a lot of things I've woken up to that I've regretted, but one of them yet has not been, oh, man, I got a felony charge hanging over my head. I don't need that kind of smoke, and neither does Scottie Scheffler. But because he wouldn't just stop the damn car, well, Dan, it was confusing. That's more the reason to stop the car. Dan, this first cop told him to go. Second cop said stop. That's more reason to stop the car. He didn't know about the crash that had happened, and there was a lot of, that's more reason, stop the car when asked. So now these cops are getting crushed because the camera wasn't on. The body cam wasn't on, but it was checked that it was on. If he just stopped the freaking car, it would not have been a problem. But all of a sudden, cops may lose their job because this guy decided, I'm not stopping the car. And of course, the media is all over it in favor of Scheffler. Of course, the mayor is sitting there with a problem. Do I support my police or do I support the public? I think that's critically important that we do that, talking about investigation, this guy Greenberg, not just in high-profile events like those that took place on Friday, but on a regular basis. Okay, Mayor, really? And if police are not being followed, and if policies are not being followed, there will be transparency about that. There will be actions taken. Just stop the freaking car. And I can't believe you idiots out there don't understand. But the cop told him. More reason when the second cop tells you to stop, you stop. But he had an official PGA sticker on his car. Good. Then let the cop see it. There is no reason here not to stop the car. I get it. A defense attorney will turn this all around. I get it. A politician like a mayor will spin this so that he's covering his ass. But Scottie Scheffler has created a huge hassle for a bunch of men out there doing their job at 5 a.m. He's created a huge hassle for himself. He's created a huge hassle for the city of Louisville, all because he didn't stop a freaking car when apparently a cop asked him to stop a freaking car. There's a lesson in there. There really is. No one's going to pay attention to it because most idiots are going to say, well, he was getting to his tee time and the cop said to go. Now, my friend Bob Wischusen witnessed the incident early Friday morning, and he recently provided details of what he saw transpire. Now, Wischusen could not confirm whether Gillis, the cop, latched himself onto the side of Scheffler's car. When Scheffler drove past him, the cop got very angry, pursuing the car. My impression was he was kind of running alongside, chasing the car, and maybe he tripped and fell. Now, you guys are going to say, well, an eyewitness said he tripped and fell. That's not what he said. Again, I have a tendency to read and pay attention. Maybe he tripped and fell. I mean, there was kind of an outcropping or median, by the front gate. And keep in mind, it was raining. It was 6 a.m. It was dark. Bob Wischusen is a great dude, not a good dude, a great dude. And whatever Bob Wischusen would say, I would trust, but what's he saying? Basically what he's saying is the cop may have tripped. I don't know. But I take from this, Scottie Scheffler ran right past the cop. Stop the car. It's simple. Then Bob Wischusen doesn't be put in an awkward situation. Dave Fleming, my other friend who I work with along with Bob, doesn't have to be. He was right there. Jeff Darlington doesn't have to talk about this as opposed to a golf tournament. Cops aren't going to be fired or at least disciplined. You're facing a felony charge all because you didn't stop the freaking car. Now, I get it. You know, a lot of people say this. The African-American community says, well, you know, we have the talk about when police pull you over, but so does the white community. My father had the talk with me, white kid going into Gary, Indiana. You pull up to a stoplight, stay behind the car in front of you with enough room that you can get out of there if someone comes and attacks your car. Put your hands on the steering wheel. When the police come, roll down your window. Ask to open the glove compartment to get a registration out. Don't make any subtle movements. Say yes or no, sir. Everybody's had that talk. At least every white dude and black dude that I know in Gary, Indiana has had that kind of talk. And stop the damn car. You see rollers behind you, lights, pull over as quickly as you can. Stop the car. But it's astounding to me. It is really astounding to me that didn't get done. It's fascinating to me, really, that is called. What's fascinating is Scottie Scheffler has so many supporters that come at me constantly. And all you got to do is stop the car.